Hey, moneymakers, I'm Kalilah Reynolds, and welcome to another episode of Taking Stock Live. We're bringing you all the latest business news and telling you how it will affect you and your money. Tonight, we have a jam-packed show for you. Can you believe in 5 years of doing this show, we've never had Knutsford Express on, and we have a lot to talk about with them. Later in the show, Barita's latest financial reports are out. And of course, later on, even later on after that, because like I said, it's a jam-packed show, we're going to be talking about unit trusts. Is this right for you? But first, let me know in the chat where you are joining us from, what part of Jamaica or what part of the world. Let me shout out the money makers all over the world this evening. Of course, I also want you to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, share the video with a friend, let them know that Taking Stock is on and popping. We are live tonight, coming you straight out of Kingston, what is this, Kingston 6, on a rainy Tuesday evening. And of course, come on, let's get this money. On this episode of Taking Stock, Knutsford Express just had their biggest year yet. The company made almost $2 billion in revenue. How do they plan to maintain their success, and what plans do they have to expand? CEO Oliver Townsend joins us. JPS customers can expect lower bills in the new year. Prime Minister Andrew Holness announced over the weekend that the general consumption tax on electricity will be slashed from the current 15% to 7%. The reduction will take effect after the next budget in March 2025. Additionally, the PM said there will be an incentive for customers who use 200 kilowatts or less each month. JPS is also set to introduce time of day, which will allow customers to get better rates by arranging how they use electricity in off-peak hours. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister says pensioners who've had their water supply disconnected for 2 years or more because of unpaid bills will have their debts forgiven by the National Water Commission. Customers who are assessed as being in need based on PATH standards will also have their debt forgiven. The Prime Minister also added that the government will waive the reconnection fee to provide relief to people facing high water bills due to major leaks. The amnesty period will begin on January 2 and will last for 3 months. The Bank of Jamaica pumped $90 million into the market last week to help meet demand and stop the Jamaican dollar from reaching 160 to 1 US. The JMD closed Friday at $157.96. It had been slowly approaching the 160 mark over the past several weeks, hitting a high of $159.76 on November 19. The BOJ also announced its third consecutive interest rate cut. This brings the base rate down to 6.25%. The move follows Jamaica's annual inflation dropping to a 3-year low of 4.9% in October. Cygnus Credit Investments is offering 2 new classes of preference shares to raise 5 billion Jamaican dollars, or about 30 million US. The new shares are cumulative redeemable shares, which means the company can buy them back after a certain period, in this case after 15 years. According to the prospectus, the share price for the Class H preference shares is 100 JMD per share, with an interest rate of 10%. The Class I preference shares have an 8% interest rate and cost $10 per share. Cigna said the funds will be used to repay $11 million worth of debt and support its upcoming projects in Jamaica. Wigton Energy is one of two companies selected for the Generation Procurement Entity's 100-megawatt renewable energy contract. This will see Wigton installing Jamaica's largest solar energy facility in Clarendon. Wigton CEO Gary Barrow said the project highlights the company's strategic shift into multiple forms of renewable energy, not just wind. Shareholders agreed in October to change the company's name from Wigton Wind Farm to Wigton Energy. The euro fell to the lowest level in 2 years last week, falling below equal value with the US dollar. The currency fell after data showed business activity in the bloc's two biggest lowest level in 2 years last week, falling below equal value with the US dollar. The currency fell after data showed business activity in the bloc's two biggest economies, France and Germany, declined more than expected. Over the past 3 months, the euro has been one of the worst performing currencies across the group of 10. According to economists, the prospect of harsh tariffs under a Donald Trump presidency in the U.S. risks dealing a blow to the region's export-dependent economies.
What's Hot was brought to you by JMMB Group, your best interest at heart.
Of our most exciting sales this Black Friday weekend, get Money Mission Premium at the lowest price it'll ever be again. Set your alarms because the sale goes live on Friday, November 29 and lasts until 11:59 p.m. on December 2. Change your financial future in the next 12 months with courses on budgeting, managing debt, investing, and more. Go to moneymissionja.com and use the promo code PREMIUM20 from November 29 to December 2. Let's get this money.
Let's get this money.
That's right. Let's get this money. Big Black Friday sale coming up this weekend, Friday through Cyber Monday, 20% off Money Mission Premium. Now, let me see where our money makers are hailing from this evening. We've got Dwight Johnson joining from Spanish Town, Kish checking in from London, Richard Bell in St. James, Life Roots saying greetings from Montego Bay. David is in St. James. We've got Omar in Kingston, Sean saying good night to the money makers. Who else do we have here? Ashton saying greetings from rainy Portmore. David sending us fruits. What's that about, David? Good healthy, good being healthy. Nicola says good night, hailing from Kingston, Jamaica. Sean says some really great things brewing in the economy. Things are really shaping up. Give me some examples, Sean. What do you have in mind? What do you consider as really great? Let me see. Who else do we have? Malik from Massachusetts. Neville from Baltimore, Maryland. Oren says Ocho Rios in the house. And Unbothered is in Clarendon. And we have a few more of you as well. Keep those comments coming in the chat. Let me know where you're joining us from this evening. So tonight we are talking to or about Knutsford Express. As you heard in the teaser, Knutsford Express is doing big things this year, and we're long overdue for a chat. So joining us this evening is their CEO, Oliver Townsend. Hi, Oliver.
Hi, Kalilah. Good evening. Thanks for having me. And good evening to your viewers from Jamaica and around the world.
And welcome to Taking Stock for the very first time. It's great to have you.
Good to be here.
So for those of us, or those of our viewers who aren't familiar with you, I think Knutsford is a household name by this point. We know what Knutsford is and what you guys do. But give us a look into your background. How did you get started in business?
What I would say is the formative years, I've tried a couple of things, but most of my life was spent actually in tourism, in destination management. And I actually have or had a lot of experience or quite a bit of experience in tours, organizing tours, transportation, and that sort of thing. So that aspect of the business kind of came naturally.
So how did the idea for Knutsford Express come about, and how did you come to be involved?
So 2006, we go back 18 and a half years. And if you were on either side of the island, and when I say either side, we're speaking about just starting Montego Bay and Kingston being the two larger, our capital and our other city. And you considered you needed to go across the island. And the question is, what are your options in traveling around the island to get there, let's say, safely, in style? The type of solution that you'd have little trouble putting your loved one on. And so, just like other persons having that question played in their minds, I was no different. A few years before that, I was journeying to Kingston once a week with two classmates to accomplish a MBA. And of course, our only option was, of course, to drive. I was a designated driver in that case. And that's how we got around. And so everything coming around would lead you to, how do you solve that problem? And I would have to say that I think the background experience that we had, and I guess the resources, to some respect, the resources we had at our disposal allowed for us to successfully do it. But of course, Kalilah, with all things, it's not straightforward, you know. And one of the things, the feedback in research that one got was, you know, going in a bus wasn't deemed or considered to be something that would really attract a lot of people to, especially when you consider what existed at the time. So we had to really create or curate a service that would have our future customers and passengers feel at ease. And so we had to create this service that offered service at a certain level. The name mattered. How we did it absolutely mattered in our consideration. And so we also decided to mimic the experience or feeling that one got when one traveled, you know, when you fly abroad or so on, you know, that fuzzy feeling you get. And so we recreated that whole situation where we'd be leaving on time. We would be giving that type of service. So our drivers at the time, before they were called before our talented drivers became customer transportation officers, we would be dressing us in a particular way, and also in consideration of motorists and other people who had an option of driving themselves. We would, our driver, for example, would introduce himself and give a précis on, you know, what the trip would be like in terms of duration, the features of the bus, of the coach, the experience, the stops, and of course that we'll be stopping nowhere. And in the beginning,
let me see if I understand you correctly, though. So you're saying that in the early days, you had to create the demand for a Knutsford Express. Was it that the people you were targeting for this service didn't feel it was prestigious enough to ride the bus?
Yes, because what was their reference point? You know, what was the reference point? I guess if a lot of folks had lived, I guess, in the UK or you know, the US, they might have had a different reference point. So it literally was, as we say, one cocoa full basket, because the first few days was one person, two persons, one person, two, three. But what we did see was incremental improvements. And when I mean incremental improvements, I mean like 1 person to 2 to 3 to 2 to 4, you know. and the response was pretty good. And despite needing every dollar and every seat, we decided that we weren't going to, because there are a lot of requests then, you know, Kalilah, where let's say folks are coming off or needed to come off closer to Constant Spring Road. Can we get off there, and, you know, can we do this and that? And we stuck to it. No, we only go from point to point for safety. Safety is one of our guiding values in more than one respect. And no, we only go A to B. That's it. We don't stop ahead of time. We don't delay the bus either, intentionally, that is. And in the early days, I mean, I would have been in Kingston and the bus would have left me. I didn't have the power to stop the bus. And that was what it was. And so we continued from there, and steadily it grew, you know. It kept going on. Then we added stops. So Ocho Rios was the first addition early on, and then later Falmouth came into being. 2-3 years, I think 3 or 4 years in, we thought that Mandeville would have been a good prospect in terms of connecting Kingston with Mandeville. And there we tried, we stuck in there, but the ones never went to twos.
Well, you're there now, and it works.
Yeah,
So the ones from the day before, you can't get on.
Yeah. So we really are really happy about the response the market has made from the customers, and we are striving and continue to strive to meet the highest standards. And we're not stopping here. Work isn't done. There's a lot to do, and we're on it. We're on it.
So you guys really created that market, and the way I see it, there is still a lot of opportunity in that industry as well. I feel like it's an underserved market, because me coming from Belize, I am used to regular bus service. The buses might not be as nice as the Knutsford, but they do leave on time and they take you from point to point. Unlike, you know, what the regular buses here are like, where you just have to sit down and wait till the bus full before it leaves. Having that reliable, comfortable, luxury bus service like the Knutsford, I think there is even more demand than what you are able to supply right now. That's how I see that. Do you see it the same way?
Yeah, there's a lot of headroom for growth, for sure. And that's how we feel. And in the last 2 years, we have reinvested close to $2 million in equipment. And we have also more state-of-the-art equipment coming. And we see there is still, yes, more potential. And we're happy to be part of the whole transport ecosystem in the country. And there is, there are opportunities. In fact, we currently serve 13 of our 14 parishes, and we anticipate in January opening or starting to serve St. Thomas at Morant Bay. And that will complete not complete, but that will have us covering the entire island. And when the coastal road is finished between Morant Bay and Port Antonio, then we could almost have someone circumnavigate, the island. It would be probably possible to circumnavigate the island in a day, you know. And we're really excited about also opening up direct connections for Morant Bay would be to maybe, I think, 16 other locations to the entire island, and vice versa. Yeah,
because that part of the island is about to blow up in terms of business opportunities, tourism, and all of that because of the new highway. I see a couple of really good comments on here, so let me take them. Richard says, I love the Knutsford Express experience. Kish says, I enjoy taking Knutsford Express. It's similar to Gatwick Express here in London. And then we have a question. Garvin wants to know, do you see Knutsford Express offering chartered flights between Kingston and Mobay?
I would say never to anything. Never say never to anything. But we are not naive enough to understand that the aviation industry is yet another another world. And so I would say never say never. But that's not on our, let's say, short-term plan right now.
Yeah, another underserved area, air transportation across Jamaica, indeed. Being able to get from Kingston to Mobay, Kingston to Negril quickly and conveniently is a big service. Royston says, I love the Knutsford Express shipping service. The shipping is separate from the courier. How does this one work?
Well, I suspect that Royston is referring to the courier service that we have that runs between 19 locations, 13 parishes in Jamaica. And that was a feature that we began with a long time ago, and it continues to grow. And the ability for someone to have an item move across the island multiple times daily in terms of the North Coast and the South Coast to some extent does really well for us, and we get good feedback. We're happy also. We're really happy to know that it matters, it makes a difference, because there are several entrepreneurs and small businesses that are basically allowed to easily, same day service, open their products to the entire island. And we take great pride in that. In fact, that is an area that we look to really build out on, with the upgrading we're constantly upgrading our depots and offices, and we're looking forward to doing some of the larger ones to really lift that experience, that passenger and customer experience to another level.
So let's talk about your numbers, because you guys had a pretty good year. According to your annual report, you have a 12% increase in revenue, up to 1.9 billion. That's almost, call it 2 billion. And net profits were also up 2% to 309 million. So what's driving these increases?
Well, to start with, I think we've been answering the needs of the core business. Our revenue has gone up, and we almost hit that 2 billion mark, which I think we're going to be there, obviously, and above this year. There were some efficiencies that have come into place. We have some newer units, buses, coaches, that offer some efficiency in terms of our scheduling. We optimized our scheduling a bit. And also, of course, outside of our core business, our investments, other income contributed significantly to that result. And Drax Hall is our, let's say, the only depot or office that we currently own. And it was built out where there are quite a bit of opportunities for revenue there from lease rental, and also, we run a cafe there, and there are quite a lot of other things that come into play. And we'll be looking at that as a model potentially for future developments. In fact, we're working on a project in Mandeville that will offer a version of that offering.
Oh, so you're going to be moving from the current location in Mandeville?
It's likely when we're finished that we will, because one of the things, Kalilah, we're trying to do is to see how we can be more operationally efficient, and also in terms of from a national point of view, not add to congestion. So one of the things we're looking at, especially locations that are en route, is to see how we can stay more, let's say, more on the periphery of the towns instead of going into the middle of the towns, which adds congestion and also adds time to the journey. And, you know, as you would say, I'm sure, time is money, right? And so, but we'll have more services there with the opening of the highway. We're excited about that. You know, we'll be considering, especially between Kingston and Mandeville, of perhaps upping our fleet there in terms of having a double-decker service, that kind of thing, between Mandeville and Kingston. We're aware that, of course, there are more persons domiciled there traveling to Kingston from Mandeville and vice versa, and we think there's opportunity there, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, if you don't book on Knutsford from the day before, you're not getting on Knutsford, at least that Mandeville to Kingston route. So in January of 2014 is when you initially listed on the junior market of the Jamaica Stock Exchange. So that means your 10 years tax benefits are up. What's next for the company? Are you going to be transitioning to the main markets? And how is this going to impact your numbers?
Yeah, well, we were impacted in that 2024 period. We had 5 months. Yes, I believe we had 5 months where there was no, we were subject. We would have run out, as you quite rightly said, in January. So we had 5 years at the regular rate. And so in the last few years, we're assiduously trying to build the business, build our revenue, build the business, anticipating that coming. So if you looked at the numbers, the pre-tax numbers were up quite a bit. I think we're at 300. We're about 50 million more in pre-tax profit than we were after. So no, we're well aware of this, and we're looking for opportunities where we can add more value and services to our customers and also earn increased revenues.
So we mentioned the courier service earlier. The question was posed about shipping. You guys did have international shipping, but you decided to discontinue that part of the business. Why was that?
No, what we are running a short-term test pilot service, and so it was offered to a small set of our existing customers. We're basically, you know, testing the market, and we decided not to continue in that current structure. That doesn't mean that we'll never look at it again, but at the time we decided, you know what, we're going to concentrate on our core now. We want to build out our network of offices. And we might be participating in a different manner, you know, where maybe folks who offer shipping or small businesses, we can expand their distribution of their packages around the island. So we're kind of taking it from a different angle at the moment.
You guys have been at Drax Hall how long now? A year, 2 years? About 2 years? More than that?
No, we began operating. We have been operating there, I believe, close to 4 years, 3.5 to 4 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. At least 3 years, 3.5 years.
And Drax Hall seems to be like the new buzz center because everything is just booming around there. You have, you know, the Starbucks open there, the KFC open there right next to you, CPJ open there in that same plaza. How is that location performing for you?
Yeah, it's a hub of activity there. You know, when we started, I remember meeting the mayor at the time, who is the mayor now, and he was relating that Drax Hall as Greater Ocho Rios. And we felt it and could see it there. I mean, as I said, we we are considering the fact that we're losing 20 minutes a day going in and out, you know. So it was a no-brainer for us. We were the big thing there 2 years ago. Now, I'm telling you, now that place has blown up. There's a lot of activity there. It's doing very well for us, I must say.
There's a lot of traffic there now too. I think largely because of the KFC.
A lot of traffic, and it's a call to the powers that be to see how we can open the flow of our road network. I tell you something, I think our experience going around the island is sort of telling us now that, you know, our road network, I mean, apart from the highways, which are fantastic, don't get me wrong, they're great. We love them, we love the highways. All the other A1 roads circumnavigating the island, that 40, 50,000 cars a year or vehicles a year that we add to the roads, you know, is reaching a point of the straw that broke the camel's back, yeah? And so we are looking forward to seeing the announcements have been made that the road will be dualized from where the highway exits to Barita in St. James. And we wholeheartedly welcome that. And perhaps consideration needs to be given to dualizing a lot of the roads. Almost every town, you know, at certain times of the year, you have a lot of congestion. So that's one opportunity, I think, that will allow the economy to jump again quite a bit.
So I'm going to take a couple questions from the audience before we go. Jamar wants to know, is the Knutsford team considering entering the car rental space?
Jamar, not at the moment. We tried, we tested, we had a few cars and we're testing like a ride and drive scenario. And so, but we might be partnering with a rent-a-car establishment in that. Who knows? That's something that we're looking into. But no, we are not looking to go directly into the car rental space at this moment.
Jordan has a question. Will there ever be emergency bus units for movement between cities in the nighttime?
Okay, emergency bus units. I'm not sure what Jordan means, emergency bus units, but we are, let me say this, we're looking at our schedule and we believe there is a time, or there will be days, because we're looking at doing like an asymmetric kind of schedule, where on certain days where there is demand, we will run a red eye or you know, a late bus. That's something that we have on our future palette, you know, something worthy of consideration. Also, we'll be looking to, with the growing fleet, to deploy extra units in different areas of the country, where one will be able to respond to demand coming up quite quickly.
And the last question comes from Sean, who wants to know, do you have any plans to diversify the business line anymore?
Okay, diversify the business line anymore. Let me see, what is that alluding to? Well, I am going to guess, Sean, that you're thinking of maybe having a business line. There are some jurisdictions or countries that even have a line that is on another level. And these are things that we'll be assessing. And, you know, if the demand comes up, we'll certainly look to offer a service like that.
So any further plans for expansion, or what about outside Jamaica?
Yes, we have gone to other jurisdictions and so on, but we're not, you know, we're not really drinking too much of our own Kool-Aid, you know. Every environment is different, but we're continuously, we have been to several countries and we have looked, and you know, everything is possible, but of course we're going to do our due diligence properly, you know, assess fine details before we make a move anywhere or necessarily really going to take a nice look at it, to ensure it's a proper fit for
Well,
our service.
thanks, Oliver. Anything else that you'd like to share before you leave?
No, just to agree with you that there is a lot of headroom for a lot of opportunities. The tourism market, the tourism numbers have been increasing. There are new hotels, resorts being built. We are moved by the fact that over a third of our arrivals are independent travelers, many of whom are staying in Airbnbs. We think that lends well to a brand like ours, where our relationship with our customers are basically one-to-one. There are a lot of opportunities in that area. Our subsidiary, we've been doing some work in the tourism market, serving, for example, like we do some work with cruise ships and so on. There'll be a lot of opportunities there for us in terms of charters, doing more organizing transportation for bespoke large events and stuff. So there's a lot of potential there. Domestic tourism also, taking folks out. So there's really a lot of work for us to do, and there's a lot of business.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for that update, Oliver. I look forward to further growth from Knutsford Express, taking advantage of all those opportunities.
Thank you. Thank you, Kalilah. Good being.
As Oliver Townsend, CEO of Knutsford Express. And like I said, we have a packed show for you this evening. We also have an update from Barita. But first, it's time for your poll question for the week. So here's your question. What was your main highlight from Prime Minister Andrew Holness's JLP conference speech? So he made quite a few announcements. A, the reduction of GCT on electricity. B, NWC debt forgiveness for pensioners. C, housing for tourism workers, or other. Leave a comment. What was your main highlight from Prime Minister Andrew Holness's JLP conference speech? Here are your options. A, reduction of GCT on electricity. B, NWC debt forgiveness for pensioners. C, housing for tourism workers, or D, other. Just leave a comment and let us know. You can take that poll over on Twitter or on the community tab here on our YouTube channel, or you can just leave your comments in the chat and let us know what your main highlight was. So right now, we are going to head on over to Barita because their Q4 results are out and the company made almost $1 billion in profit for the quarter alone. So we were talking to Oliver just now, $1 billion, almost $2 billion in revenue. Barita's making $1 billion in profit in 3 months, in the quarter alone. So here to tell us more about their performance is the company's CEO, Ramon Small Ferguson. Hi, Ramon. Welcome back to Taking Stock.
Hi, Kalilah. Thank you very much. Always a pleasure to be here.
Okay, so tell us, what has Barita been up to this last quarter?
Sure. So, as you said, Kalilah, the outcomes really reflect our strategy, the evolution of our strategy throughout the year. Q4 was a record one for us, a record Q4. We would have generated $3 billion in revenue. And as you mentioned, profits were $999 million, just under $1 billion, up 200% relative to Q4 of last financial year. I think our strategy for the year evolved around a few pillars. The first is that we were very deliberate this year around driving revenue diversification. So we saw throughout the year a resurgence in traditional revenue sources. So net interest income, for example, was up throughout the year. We were very deliberate about managing the cost of our liabilities, particularly for the last 3 quarters. So net interest income was up around 11%. We saw trading revenue, which was missing, quite frankly, in financial year 2023, up substantially year over year.
Really?
$1.4 billion on the fixed income side. And our equity portfolio performed much better throughout the year as well, delivering results similarly in the $1.5 billion range relative to a fairly flat performance in 2023. And we also saw a very good performance from our investment banking business line, which delivered over $1 billion in revenue, relative to north of about $600 million in financial year 23. So for the full year, we had record revenues of about $10 billion, and profits were around $3.9 billion relative to $3.4 billion in 23. So the revenue diversification is one area. We also sought to be fairly flexible with respect to our investment strategy. So we pursued what we describe as a market neutral strategy, where we're well positioned to make investments regardless of the direction of the market, right? And that worked out well for us throughout the year. As you would have seen, markets were up, down, left, right, and center, and we were there in each instance to try and position the portfolio to benefit, and that worked out pretty well.
So would you say your strong performance is an indication that the market is beginning to recover?
I'd say that we have benefited from some bright spots in the market. Let me put it that way. So, I mean, I can give you some perspective there. Certainly throughout the year, we would have seen a shift in monetary policy, right? So monetary policy was very tight for the preceding 2 years or so. Interest rates were moving up at a very fast clip. And throughout this financial year, we saw them level off, and then we actually saw rates started to move down. So yes, that's one aspect of things. I think investor confidence and sentiment actually improved throughout the financial year. And again, our business is inextricably linked to the confidence of investors. I mean, that drives investment activity, right? Which is a part of how we generate revenue. It drives capital market decisions, companies deciding whether to raise money or not. So for sure, we would have benefited from some improvements there. So I'd say that's part of it, definitely.
I mean, you guys at Barita definitely have your toes in the water, your feet on the ground. You have an indication of, I would say, what is to come. What's it looking like for 2025 for the markets?
I mean, so obviously I didn't bring the crystal ball today, right? But
how dare you? Next time, bring it.
I'll dust it off. But there are some positive indicators. I'll give you a few. Obviously, the shift in monetary policy is positive from an investment perspective, right? Lower rates, more liquidity in the space. Certainly, we expect that riskier assets, equities, and so on, are poised to benefit from that kind of environment versus a higher rate, tighter liquidity environment. And so that's one. So you can anticipate, investors responding more positively to corporate earnings. As you would have realized, during the preceding period, companies would do well and the stock market would be fairly muted in response, right? So the hope is that we will actually see investors getting back into it, and we're seeing some signs of that. Volume is picking up. With respect to growth, inflation is now in control, both locally and globally. The growth outlook locally has, however, been impacted in recent quarters, particularly by natural disasters. So Hurricane Beryl, for example, and the heavy rains that we have been experiencing has really put a damper on our economy. But both fiscal policy and monetary policy seems aligned around facilitating growth. And that's coming at a time when the private sector is, looking at growth as well. So there's a bit of optimism. So if those confluence of factors come together, you can anticipate that there may be, all else being equal, some increased economic activity throughout the year, which hopefully will mean improved corporate earnings, which is another driver of the market. I mean, Jamaica, from an economic perspective, Kalilah, is very ripe for investment, right? And you would have heard recent fiscal policy pronouncements around positioning Jamaica for growth.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely think if aspects of that take hold in 2025, we may see, some specific areas of the economy kind of taking off, which again could be positive. So there are heavy headwinds as well, potentially. The geopolitical risks still exist. There is a change of government happening in the US, and there's thinking that policy there could be inflationary. And as you know, inflation in the US is something that migrates very quickly to Jamaica, right? As an example. But, despite those headwinds, there's really the balance between the tailwinds and the headwinds. And we'll, of course, navigate and try and dance between those raindrops.
Question from Strong Link, one of our viewers. He says, quite a few companies putting out strong profits, but the main market continues to stagnate. He says, So, the question would be, why do you think that is?
It's a good question. So, again, you'd recall that the market has really taken a beating post-COVID, right? I mean, the supply chain effects, higher inflation, tighter monetary policy, markedly higher interest rates have really been negative for the stock market, right? So these kind of things aren't necessarily, they're kind of like a very large ship, right? They take some time to turn around. So even though the steering maybe turned very sharply in the direction that we expect things to turn, it does take a while. So while we may have gotten to an inflection point where things have leveled off, it hasn't quite started to climb it. I think investors are waiting to see whether that 1 quarter or 2 quarters of good earnings really stay and take hold before diving in, right? But you are seeing some early indications that people are stepping in. You're seeing large one-off and kind of trades implying that smart money is getting involved in the market. And that's usually a good indicator of things to come.
And finally, Ramon, what plans does Barita have for 2025?
Sure. So a bit of more of the same and some more innovation. So we're continuing to make the business more resilient. We're looking to further diversify our revenue base. We're focused on driving operational efficiency, which for us means doing more with the same and doing things better in terms of our output. We're also seeking to take advantage of the shift in monetary policy with our investment strategy. So we're being very aggressive around providing capital raising solutions and investment solutions for our clients in the wake of lower interest rates, right? They should be more attractive, right? And finally, we're really focused, Kalilah, on trying to expand and scale our business in a way that allows us to actually connect with the customer. We're putting the customer at the center of what we do. So there are a number of initiatives that we have programmed, tailored around that. So that's really it for financial year 25.
Well, we look out for that updates as they come. Thank you so much, Ramon.
Thank you, Kalilah.
Up next, we've got your market recap, and our analyst is standing by. For your market recap, the JSE combined index lost 1,600 points or 0.5% last week. 126 stocks traded across the main and junior markets for the week ending Friday, November 22, 2004. 46 made gains, 65 lost value, and 18 stayed the same. 136 million shares changed hands on the Jamaican dollar market, valued at $951 million. TransJam was the week's most traded stock, with 28 million shares changing hands. It started the week at $4.22. Wigton traded the second highest volume. The stock's price was unchanged to open Monday at $1.07. And TransJam USD rounded out last week's most traded. It started the week at 3 cents US. Now let's see who had the biggest gains of the week. PBS USD was the week's top gainer, up 21%. Margaritaville Turks had the second biggest gain, up 17%. And Cargo Handlers rounded out the top stocks, also up 17%. On the losing side now, Radio Jamaica was the week's biggest loser. The stock fell 19% to open Monday at 97 cents, while KLE lost 18% and 138 Student Living Variable Preference lost 15%. Over on the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange, the composite index gained 11 points or 1% last week. NCBFG was the TTSE's most traded stock. It gained 10 cents to open Monday at $2.25 TT. One Caribbean Media was Trinidad's top gainer, up almost 7% to start the week at $2.99 TT. And on the losing side, Trinidad Cement fell almost 8% to open Monday at $2.39 TT. It was a steady week over in the U.S., with the Dow Jones, S&P 500, and the Nasdaq all up about 2%. At the pumps, gas prices fell $3.60 in Jamaica last week, while regular diesel lost $1.98 and low-sulfur diesel dipped $2.70. In foreign exchange, it took an average $157.96 Jamaican to purchase $1 US last Friday. That's $1.34 less than the week before. Meanwhile, it took an average $113.78 Jamaican to purchase $1 Canadian. One British pound cost on average $201.14 Jamaican, and you could buy €1 for $164.17 Jamaican on average. Finally, on the crypto markets, Bitcoin is inching its way closer to 100,000, trading at $95,993 on Monday, while Ethereum climbed 12% last week, trading at $3,450 on Monday.
Like the show? No, I mean, do you really like this show? Well, support us by making a donation on Patreon. Your support will go a long way in allowing us to continue creating content like this and keep taking stock free for everyone. Go to patreon.com/Kalilah Ray to sign up. The link is in the description.
This segment of Taking Stock, The Analyst, is brought to you by JMMB Group, your best interest at heart.
Welcome back. Time now for the Analysts. And just to let you know that the information in this segment is for educational purposes only. Please consult a licensed financial advisor before making any investment decisions. Some interesting notes there in the market recap, and I see a lively discussion occurring in the chat about the cost of TJH, Trans-Jamaican Highway, today ended at $4.63. So yes, TJH is running up right now. Love to see it. Love to see the numbers. I see somebody said, Sean said, can only imagine how people holding TJH from IPO are smiling right now. Well, we've been smiling, Sean, because them dividends, when them dividends from TJH drop in, yes, we love to see it. And now the price appreciation on top of that, oh yes, love it, love it, love it. All right, so let's get into our analyst segment. And our analyst for this week is Senior Corporate Manager at JMMB Fund Managers, Camille Stair. Hi, Camille, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
You're looking Christmassy. Oh, it's not Christmas decorations, but for some reason you're just exuding Christmas to me right now.
I'm feeling the Christmas spirit. I love the season, so yes.
Well, it shows on you. It shows for sure. All right, so let's talk about unit trusts this week. Are unit trusts a good way to diversify your portfolio right now?
Yes. When you're looking on your unit trust, it is a collective investment whereby multiple investors can pool together their resources in a portfolio of assets, to whether it is stocks, bonds, real estate, and you're getting a diversified portfolio by virtue of you investing in unit trusts. And one of the things that I always tell persons, and it's an acronym I use when I'm talking to persons about unit trusts, is what I call you want to reap the rewards of unit trusts, which is the first thing, you want to reduce volatility in your portfolio by virtue of diversification. And you're looking on expert portfolio management. What does that mean? You have your investment manager now, they are mandated in terms of optimizing your returns. So instead of you having to, be researching, getting that information as it relates to the different stocks or bonds, you have investment managers that have the skill set to optimize your portfolio returns. And then what we're looking on is accessibility and affordability. Now, when you think about sometimes in terms of stocks, real estate, persons may not have the amount of funds to say, you know what, let me go and buy this property. And you can get, by virtue of investing in unit trust, you can get exposure to real estate returns. So that accessibility and affordability is key. And P, which is portfolio fit. Based on your risk appetite, based on your financial goals, you need to see and have that conversation with a financial advisor to see how it best fits into your portfolio. Because ultimately what you want to do is ensure that you have a diversified portfolio, whether it is getting direct exposure to stocks, real estate, but also by virtue of investing in unit trusts. So whether or not the stock market, in terms of performance, it may be going up or down, you are getting that level of optimization of your returns by investing in unit trusts like income and growth fund that JMMB has.
All right. So talk to me about affordability, because you mentioned that that's one of the benefits, affordability and accessibility. So how easy is it to invest in a unit trust? Like at what income level does it start at?
So 200 units. So when you're looking on one like your income and growth fund, the price point is $5,000 at this point in time.
Jamaican dollars.
Your optimum fund, that is $25,000 in terms of entry or opening up the account. And outside of and that is the affordability and accessibility. So you may not be able to pick up that big money, so to speak, and say, yes, I'm going to buy real estate. But by virtue of you investing in our optimum capital fund, you are getting those real estate returns. By virtue of you saying, let me start with this $5,000 in the income and growth fund, you're getting the stock market returns. And that is what you want to do in terms of leveling up and optimizing your portfolio by virtue of you saying, you know what, I may not get direct exposure to these particular forms of assets, but let me see how I can get it by virtue of investing in a unit trust.
So you mentioned two types of unit trusts that JMMB manages. You said you have a real estate fund, and what was the other one?
We have over 8. So so we have 8. We have Giltage, we have real value fund, we have bond funds, we have USD funds. So we have around 8 funds, but I would have highlighted our income and growth fund and our optimum fund, which is a lot of persons gravitate towards those two particular type of funds.
Those are the two most popular.
Yes, popular, yes.
Okay, I have a couple of questions on the chat. So where is it? Orlando wanted to know, how good is the real estate unit trust and does it pay dividends?
All right, so it is, so every single day you have the unit price, and it has, in terms of our 12-month growth rate, it has been outperforming inflation, and that is what you want to look on in terms of overall performance. So any benefits it accrues, so you get the tax benefit by virtue of tax-free earnings, any dividends, everything is invested, and every single day, and you can see in terms of your overall portfolio performance, even when you go on JMMB Moneyline, you can see in terms of how it is that this particular investment is performing day to day, because the unit price actually changes from day to day.
So walk us through how it works when you invest in a unit trust. Is it the same thing like when you invest in stocks directly, that you benefit from price appreciation, you also get dividends? How does it work? What's the benefit?
Right, so you get the same thing. So you're getting indirect exposure. So by virtue of you purchasing, so you get direct exposure when you say, you know what, I'm going to buy this particular stock, whether it is a JMMB stock or any other stock on Grace Kennedy, I'm getting direct exposure to this particular asset. Now for the unit trust, or like when you have our income and growth fund, you're getting this same benefit. Is just that now it is across a wider cross section of equities that we may have in the portfolio that is selected by our investment managers. So you're getting that appreciation, you're getting whatever dividends that may be paid. So you're getting that fulsome benefit. And that is why it is critical to put that a part of the portfolio so you can reap the rewards.
And do you report to your investors on what the unit trust is investing in and how it's performing?
Yes. So when you are onboarded, the first thing you get is an offering circular, which has all of the information in terms of how it is invested, the governance structure. So that is one of a critical document that you get in terms of the onboarding process. As it relates to even investment performance, that is something that is published in the Gleaner, and also on our website, you'd have that information. And as I said before, you also get that information by virtue of you having access to our Moneyline platform.
Are unit trusts more for the conservative investor, one who doesn't really want to take too much risk and just wants you to do all the work for them?
So you have to, I wouldn't say for the conservative, it is for the investor who is looking to ensure that they can smooth out the volatility across their portfolio and optimize by virtue of diversification. So it wouldn't be conservative, because even when you look on the income and growth fund, that is for somebody who has possibly an above average risk appetite. So they would want to invest in the income and growth fund. And then you're looking in terms of like the optimum fund, that is, an average risk appetite. Again, what you want to do is have a best fit in terms of your portfolio. And it is important not just to pigeonhole yourself to say conservative and yes, unit trust, no. When you sit down with a financial advisor, they're going to walk you through in terms of what your goals are, and a series of questions would identify, is this person, aggressive, moderate, conservative, and you get a best fit solutions now as to how it is that we can build out a robust portfolio that ultimately will ensure that you achieve your financial goals.
Question coming from Learn, Grow, Invest. Are any unit trusts buying into infrastructure companies like TJH?
So we have different investment structures. Specifically, the bias is towards commercial real estate at this point in time for Optimum Fund, and while we have a bit amount of residential, it is towards the commercial real estate and different real estate structures and deals. So not presently, but we do have a bias towards commercial property.
Sean seems very interested, but he wants to know, can you lose with a unit trust, or is it always a guaranteed to make money?
No guarantee. You cannot have, what you want to do is ensure that you get the information. And by virtue of you sitting down with a financial advisor or having that conversation, you're going to say, what has been the historical return? And how has it been outperforming inflation? And you are going to, again, and one of the benefit of that is that with any particular asset, when you have a direct exposure to it, you immediately feel that impact. By virtue of you investing in a unit trust fund, what you're doing is that you're diversifying, or you're investing in a diversified pool of assets that may have a high concentration in terms of real estate. So that in and of itself helps to mitigate and preserve whatever it is that you may have invested. But again, there is volatility, because that is the nature of investments, but it's how it is that it is managed by the investment manager. And again, asking those probing questions when you sit down with your financial advisor, or call your financial advisor in terms of whether or not it is a best fit for you.
And similar question coming from Oren. How risky is it to invest in unit trust versus stocks, which offers a better rate of return on investments?
So when you're looking on, so you can, as I said before, you're getting direct exposure. So if there is an immediate, if there's an appreciation with a particular or a specific stock, you're going to get that direct benefit. And with the unit trust, however, you may get the direct benefit by virtue of the fact that it is in the portfolio of stocks that the investment manager has invested in. So you're going to get that particular benefit, but the more riskier asset would be in terms of direct exposure to stocks. So again, and coming back to the root of it, and in terms of why it is that you'd want to invest in unit trust, is because you want to diversify your portfolio. You want to smooth out that volatility for your portfolio eventually. And that is one of the key benefits of investing in unit trust.
Final question comes from Sean, who's queuing up the perfect pitch for you, Camille. Sean wants to know, How do you buy into a unit trust? Do I need to walk in? Is it on Moneyline? Who do I talk to?
Excellent question. You can actually go
I knew you'd like
digital
that
onboarding
question.
with JMB. So at this point in time, you can just click on a link and you can just open up one, whether it is an optimum capital account or an income and growth account. So in the comfort of your home right now, you could actually just go on and just open up an account. Or if you want to come in and see us, you can, come in physically and have that conversation with us, and we would open up the account also.
All right. Thank you so much, Camille. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Consider making unit trusts a part of your investment strategy. We're going to take our final break and come back with your comments and a few announcements.
Of Taking Stock, the Analysts was brought to you by JMMB Group, your best interest at heart.
Hey Kalilah, what's the best investment to make?
Yourself. Obviously, if you're a business owner or an investor or somebody who's just trying to level up in life, you need to invest in yourself. And a good way to do that is by getting a mentor. So just meet me for Money Mentorship the first Monday of every month. Go to moneymissionja.com and I'll send you the link. Let's get this money. Welcome back. Welcome back. Yeah, Money Mentorship. Isn't it next week already? Is it the end of, yeah. Oh, Money Mentorship is right around the corner next week, December 2nd. And of course, this weekend, we are having our annual Black Friday sale, and we are doing a sale on premium. Now, I don't usually do sales on premiums. I did it once before during a webinar, and we're doing it again for this Black Friday weekend. 20% off premium using the code premium20. The sale starts on Friday. So even though I'm giving you the link right now, Friday is the day that the sale starts. So on Friday, you go to moneymissionja.com. At checkout, you're going to enter the code premium20 for 20% off of your premium membership for Money Mission. So that's a big deal. That's a big announcement. Also, what else did I want to say? I have a few things that I wanted to say, but let me go to your comments because there are quite a few comments in the chat this week. Pink Edits says, it's always a pleasure to take a trip on a Knutsford Express coach. I've traveled so many times on the same route that even the workers know my name now. I love it, Pink. Christopher said that he didn't see the speech, the PM speech. Maybe you didn't see it, but it's been extensively reported on. So we've heard clips from it. We've seen the JPS thing, the NWC thing. StrongLink said all of the above in response to the poll question. So all of the announcements that were made, StrongLink thinks they were all impressive highlights. Sean says that reduction in GCT is huge. Might not help us directly, but indirectly through the economy, it will help. So GCT is going from 15% to 7%. I saw a headline from Dr. Damian King, economist, saying he didn't agree with it. I didn't read the article, so I don't know why he didn't agree with it. But I need to go read that and see why he thinks it is such a waste of time and he's so opposed to it, because that's interesting. I thought everybody would have supported a reduction in GCT. Let me see, what else do we have? StrongLink says, I would think pension fund managers would be getting more aggressive in acquiring at least blue chip equities at this point. What are they waiting for? Good question, Sean. Unbothered said, big up Ramon. And we had a few more comments as well. I saw a lot of comments talking about TJH, Trans-Jamaican Highway. Let me see if I can find some of them right now. Kevin wanted to know what happened to the regular voice in this segment, Anthony, voicing the disclaimer. So we do have a new editor, a new video editor who started literally today, Alexa. I think you did a good job for your very first time editing the Taking Stock segment. So not bad. You got them done on time. A few glitches here and there that we need to smooth out, but not bad for your first time. Big up to our brand new editor, Alexa Roberts. Let me see what else we have here in the comments. A few other comments on TJH. Those are the ones that I'm looking for. Roswell said, what does Jamaica have that would steer other countries our way versus doing business in the USA? I am thinking. Well, we have a cheaper labor force. That is one. Let's see, what else? Sean wanted to know, do you think Jamaica can take advantage of Trump tariff policy, or is it more negative? We spoke about that a couple of weeks ago. I think we're coming upon the TJH comments now. Edward says TJH all the way. Only Jevy was asking, what about trains? Because we were talking to Knutsford about increasing ground transportation. Some people were suggesting airplane service. I saw comments there requesting ferry service. Only Jevil saying, what about train? Only Jevil, you're sounding like Mike Henry now, Mr. Multimodal. But I do agree that we need to have multiple modes of transportation. Improving public transportation is really key to boosting productivity in this country, because we waste so much time in traffic, sitting in traffic, doing absolutely nothing, getting nowhere, doing nothing. It's really anti-productivity at this point. So having a train service, having maybe even a ferry service, having air service, I don't understand. And I guess there have been a couple of businesses that have tried it, having flights from Kingston to Mobay. Didn't seem to last long. I don't know what the business model has been, but I feel like that is a service that is needed if somebody is able to work out the model and make that work. Orlando says, one of my friends said the same thing, wait until it dips and get an entry point, referring to TJH. Here's that conversation. Oren said, I want more TJH, but I'm wondering if it might come down a bit, even though it doesn't seem so. We'll watch it till Friday. Hopefully it comes down a bit by then. Here's the thing. Why do you guys always wait until a stock runs up before you want to buy? Why do you guys wait till the price is high? When there's all the hype around the stock, that's when you want to buy. You need to buy before there is the hype. You need to be anticipating the hype. That's why you watch this program, so that we can know when things like this are likely to happen. And we've been talking about TJH. We've been talking about the Mandeville leg. Still free at this point. I don't know when they're going to start charging. There have been multiple dates for the start of them to start charging for that leg of the toll. It looks like we're going to go into the new year with still no charge on that final leg. Well, final for now, leg of the toll. I know they do have a dividend coming up, and that could be part of the reason the stock price is running up now. But guys, don't wait until there is a hype on a stock to jump in and want to buy. Buy before. So like Orlando said earlier, buy the dip. What other comment did we have? Oren, we clearly have a TJH army in here. Shout out to you all. Orlando again. I have some shares in Carib Cement, but not Wigton. Or need to extract can't longer than Embassy Line. So yeah, some good conversations right here. Trivia says Jamar says all this TJ hype. Don't you guys see the news regarding Wigton? Their profits are set to balloon. Yes, we reported on that earlier. Wigton Wind Farm, by the way, is now Wigton Energy, and they've just gotten a deal to build a solar project I think it's in Clarendon. So Wigton is diversifying. They're not only about wind farms anymore. They're now into solar. They're into multiple energy projects. Sean said, when that Mandeville leg opens, that's when things will pop off. If price moving and the leg isn't open, imagine when it does, indeed, because when those revenue numbers hit from that extra leg, talk about supply and demand. Demand is going to, and when demand goes up, price goes up as well. Kimberly says, exactly. Mark Cuban said the most valuable asset you can never own is your time. The one thing you can do is save time by getting to places faster. Mussie says, I'm feeling bullish on Wigton. Bought 44,000 shares at 55 cents. And now it's up to $1.17. Good for you, must see. Stronglink said, our wonderful rail service was destroyed. It's another of our great assets just wasting. Spanish Town and Port Royal too. So yeah, lots of things happening on the market this week. We are hopeful for a strong recovery starting in 2025. Now, back to our announcements. Like I said, the Black Friday sale is around the corner. 20% off premium at moneymissionja.com starting Friday. That sale goes through to Cyber Monday. And you also want to go to getmoneynews.com to sign up for the newsletter. That way you get all the announcements when they drop. You get all the deals. You get all the money news, everything coming your way directly to your inbox at getmoneynews.com. That's it for this week. Make sure that you like the video, subscribe to the channel, share with a friend, let them know that we talk money over this side. Why? Because we need to make it cool and sexy to talk about money. Money is the new sexy talk, right? Money's sexy. Absolutely. Very much so. Money is sexy. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, share with a friend, subscribe to the newsletter. Follow me all over social media at Kalilah Ray, Kalilahrey. That's my only page. I only have one page on each platform. So if anybody is DMing you, that is not me, that is a scammer, please report the page and block those pages as well. There are tons of them, especially over on TikTok. And reminding you as well to support the cause and head to our Patreon. Go to patreon.com/Kalilah Ray to continue supporting this program and keep taking stock free. Because I don't know what I'm going to do. Who knows? Maybe 2025, we start charging for the platform, or worst case scenario, we stop doing it altogether. But we do appreciate your support for those of you who have continued to support us. Patreon.com/Kalilah Ray. Turn on the post notifications so you can be the first to see when everything drops. And of course, we'll see you again next week. Thank you to our hardworking production team led by the lady Sashelle Williams. Oh, guys, did you see? We won. We won. Oh, gosh, we should have put this in the show, Sashelle. We actually won the award for opinion journalism at the PAJ's awards on Saturday evening. So big up to Sashelle, big up to Izzy. We were nominated in 2 categories, opinion and business. Who won business? Giovanni Dennis from TVJ won in the business category this year. So congratulations to Giovanni. He also won Journalist of the Year and a bunch of other prizes. He kind of like swept PAJ awards this year. But this was our 2nd year winning for opinion journalism, because as you probably can tell from our style on doing the bottom line, it's very opinion based. It's not really hard news that we have been presenting. We put our opinions in there and let you know how we feel about what's been happening with the economy and with businesses and so on. And so for that, we have been awarded twice in a row for opinion journalism. So congratulations to the team. Congratulations to the Money Media team, Sashelle Williams, Izzy Ramsey, and myself for walking away with that award 2nd year in a row. Thanks to the rest of the team as well, especially Alexa Roberts, our brand new editor, who did a good job this evening with getting everything done. And thanks to you for watching yet another week. I'm Kalilah Reynolds. I'll see you again next week. And until then, let's get this money.
Let's get this money.